Mandazis, aka Mandao. I believe you've all had an encounter with mandazis to a point where I tend to feel like maybe it's just not meant for us. They either don't rise, become too crispy, too hard, or they just don't look like those toasty ones you see on YouTube. The results backfire on us and you're never able to quite figure out what the problem is. Now, I have been there myself like a million times. Well, not quite a million, but that's a story in my past since I figured out the ins and outs of my ingredients. Through a few experiments, I discovered tricks that I'll share with you so you can become a master in this mandazi making craft. A mandazi is basically fried dough. If yeast is used instead of baking powder, it's just fried bread. The basic ingredients are flour, sugar, a leavening agent or a raising agent, and a liquid which could be water or milk. Step 1. Have your flour in a bowl. The type of flour doesn't really affect the end result in making mandazis, but that is only if you're using either plain flour or self-raising flour. Brown flour has less gluten or elasticity compared to white flour, which means it results in a more tender dough. So if you wish to make your dough more tender, you can consider adding some brown flour. If you've worked with brown flour in making chapatis or mandazis, I'm pretty sure you can relate. Don't be intimidated by the word gluten. Just understand the less or weaker the gluten, the more tender the results. Same concept as tenderizing meat. The weaker the tissues or muscles, the more tender the results. Step 2. Add your raising agent. Self-raising flour has a raising agent in it, so you don't have to worry about the amount of baking powder to add. In plain flour, use 1.5 level teaspoons of baking powder for every 200 grams of flour. Step 3. Add your sugar. Add as much as you're comfortable with. If you wish to add any spices, you can add them at this point. Cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, whatever makes you happy. And a little tip, add a little salt as well so you can bring out the flavors in the spices. Step 4. Add your liquid. You can choose to add water or milk. The amount you add determines the tenderness of your dough. You don't want your dough to be too tender since it will be difficult to work with. You also don't want it to be too tough since the results will be tough mandazis. Step 5. Knead your dough till soft and stretchy. You might also want to consider not over kneading your dough. Excessive kneading makes it harder for the dough to stretch. After kneading, cover the dough with a damp cloth and leave it to rest. The damp cloth is to help us maintain the moisture in the dough and prevent it from drying out. Step 6. Roll out your dough into a long cylindrical shape and cut into equal portions. The reason for this is to achieve mandazis of equal size. Roll out the individual shapes and divide into 4. Do feel free to cut out any desired shapes. Desired thickness is achieved by rolling out to 1/4 inch. You can make it thicker if you want meaty mandazis, but don't make it too thick, otherwise the mandazis will not cook on the inside. If you roll it too thin, they will become hollow and too crispy. Step 7. Fry. Now here is where most people go wrong. Make sure your oil is hot enough. Test with a small piece of dough. If it doesn't float almost immediately, your oil is not hot enough. When you're confident that your oil is of the right temperature, drop your dough slowly away from you. You don't want your hot oil to spill on your delicate skin. The dough should puff up almost immediately. Don't overcrowd your oil so your dough has enough space to puff up. Fry it till brown on both sides. Another important thing to note, before adding your next batch, check your oil temperature. The temperature of the oil may have dropped after frying the first batch. This is because the dough was cold before dropping it in the oil. The oil may also have overheated. In this case, turn off the source of heat and wait for it to cool down or just add a little more oil. Just don't exceed 2/3 of your frying equipment. Achieving soft mandazis is very easy. I hope this video was of great help to you and has enabled you to understand the reasons behind why your mandazis didn't turn out the way you wanted them to. But that's now a story in the past. Time to move on, shall we? Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with anyone who might be struggling making this snack. It would definitely mean a lot to them, don't you think?